What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. If you haven't heard yet, yesterday was a huge day in baseball history. The MLB decided to implement a couple of rule changes going into 2023 and beyond, and they will have a pretty big impact on the game we know and love. Now, if you're a Red Sox fan like me, which you probably are if you're subscribed or watching this channel, your first thought goes to how are these rule changes going to affect the Boston Red Sox? Well, that's what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about all the major rules that were implemented, how they're going to affect baseball, and specifically how they're going to affect the Red Sox going into 2023 and beyond. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps out a ton, would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. There were 3 rules implemented for this 2023 MLB season and beyond, and those 3 rules were a pitch clock, a shift ban, and making the bases bigger. And we're going to get into all 3 of those, and we're going to start with the biggest one, the one that I think will have the biggest impact on this game, and that is the pitch clock. Starting in 2023, pitchers will have 15 seconds to start their throwing motion towards home plate when there are no runners on base. They will have 20 seconds to do the same thing when there are runners on base. Now, this was implemented in the minor leagues, and I did go to a couple of minor league baseball games this year to watch some of our guys rehab, and I actually didn't mind this at all. It cut down the time of the game by 15-20 minutes. Every pitch felt like it was fast-paced and action-packed, and I kind of enjoyed myself when there was this faster pace to the baseball game. In terms of how this affects the Red Sox, I actually don't know who in this pitching staff it's going to affect the most. Guys like Schreiber, Whitlock, Sale, those guys kind of already work quickly, so now with this pitch clock change, I think that they're just going to have to speed it up a tiny little bit. Got other guys like Bayo, Cutter, Danish, Winkowski, people like that have already spent time in the minor leagues and had to adjust their approach to this pitch clock, so they probably won't have a problem with it. I actually think only a select few pitchers are really going to struggle with cutting down their delivery time. And I think a guy like Pivetta is a perfect example of that, who likes to kind of mess with his timing. He takes his time going to the plate, and I think he may have an issue trying to adjust to this new pitch clock. However, you do have an entire off season, so you can kind of work on how to work your approach before the 2023 pitch clock is introduced. I actually think this may affect the hitters on the Red Sox more than it affects the pitchers, and that's because the Red Sox hitters really use the time in between pitches to calm themselves down, reset themselves. I think every single person on this team takes a deep breath before they step in the box. That's going to be harder to do when you only have 15-20 seconds to get yourself ready for the next pitch. A guy like Rafael Devers, who's very animated after a pitch comes, where he's either happy about the strike call, sad about the strike call, nodding his head, taking a breath, right, mumbling to himself, looking at his bat, stuff like that. It's not going to be as easy to do that kind of stuff anymore, and I think that's going to be a bigger adjustment for the hitters, not only for the Red Sox, but in the entire MLB as well. However, like I said, you have an entire offseason to sort of work on adjusting your approach as the 2023 season gets closer. You're a professional hitter, and some of these hitters like Rafael Devers are great hitters, top 5 hitters in baseball. So for the Red Sox, I have a feeling that this approach shouldn't harm their game too much, but it'll definitely be something that they need to work on. The second biggest change coming to the MLB next year is this shift ban, right? It's not really a ban, it's more of a regulation. So that's what I'm going to call it throughout this video, is a shift regulation, because they didn't get rid of the shift altogether. They just sort of limited the amount a team can shift. And how they limited it was they made sure that they put it into the rules that there has to be 2 players on each side of second base, meaning that the third baseman and shortstop must stay on their side, and the second baseman and first baseman must stay on their side. Basically, you can't have shortstop and second base playing the same position. You can't have third base behind second base, stuff like that, right? The other regulation was that all infielders must remain on the boundaries of the infield. Basically, that means that the Blue Jays can no longer play 4 outfielders against Rafael Devers. Now, I actually think this is going to benefit the Red Sox a lot. Guys like Rafael Devers have been shifted massively by this entire league, and I think with him being able to free swing and just sort of say, hey, if the ball goes where it goes, I don't have to worry about hitting it into 6 people on the right side. I can have some fun with this swing. Let's see what happens. Might actually improve his batting average. Guys like Verdugo, who have been unlucky all year with the shift, are going to get the benefit of not having the shift anymore. Plus, on top of that, on defense, I'm going to be honest with you, this year, it seems like more times than not, the shift shift has hurt the Red Sox, especially with runners on base. We see it all the time where it gets poked through the other side, especially the Rays. For some reason, the Rays take advantage of the Red Sox shift and they beat us every single time. So I actually think the shift will be beneficial to the Boston Red Sox. Before you guys go comment, this is going to affect Xander if he's still here, range, and it's going to make him look so bad. No, relax. It's not going to, I promise. Because of the fact that you could still move around on the infield, you're not locked into one position. I still think Xander will be able to adjust himself strategically to each hitter and put himself in a position to make it play, much like he has this year. All in all, for baseball, I think this rule actually makes a lot of sense. You could still use the strategy, the sort of chess match that you play with each individual batter that I love about baseball with this, where you can still move players around. You still move the outfield around. You can still move the players on the infield around. You just sort of regulate it a little bit so it's not egregious. This also allows for athletes to be athletes, right? We're probably going to see some pretty insane plays next year. You know, it's not because Rafael Devers hit into the fourth outfielder for the third time in this game. It's because, you know, Randall Grichuk or Raimel Tapia or whoever the hell is in Blue Jays right field made a diving catch or something like that. So that could be pretty fun to watch all in all for baseball. So this is another rule where I don't mind this at all. The last major change to the game we know and love is an increase in bag sizes. Every base is getting increased from 15 inches to 18 inches. And honestly, that doesn't sound like a lot on paper, but look at the difference in the bags. They look twice as big in my opinion. But at the same time too, if you're a Red Sox fan, you pretty much can't have an issue with this. We have had so many injuries this year, and the whole point of these bags is to help prevent injuries on the base pass and simply need all the help we can get. So I will take this. Any precautions gonna help the Red Sox stay on the field, and God knows we need it. One of the other kind of low-key benefits of this base size increasing is stealing. I think there's gonna be more stealing next year. We have two great defensive catchers now in McGuire and Wong. Wong threw another person out last night. He's looking fantastic defensively behind the plate, by the way. And so I think that'll benefit those guys. I also think it'll benefit the Red Sox base running. They've been a little bit better and a little bit more mobile this year in terms of base running, but in years past we've seen sort of a very limited base running from the Boston Red Sox, and I think with the base increase we're going to see more steals league wide, and that's going to help out the Red Sox a lot. Get more runners in scoring position, take an extra bag, take an extra 90 feet, get us closer in scoring more runs. I actually really like this base change. All in all, part of me loves these baseball changes. I think baseball was meant to grow and adapt with the times. You know, at one point, ground rule doubles were home runs, right? This game evolves and adapts with this country, and it hasn't really done that in a little bit. So these changes, in my opinion, could help this game out a lot. But there is a part of me that's saying, hey, baseball's baseball. Why change it? Why make these rules different? It's a beautiful game as is. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm at. I think these changes will be good for the game, but I also didn't want the game touched. So I'm kind of in the middle here. As for in terms of how it's going to affect the Red Sox, I think all of these are going to have a pretty positive impact on this Red Sox team. The only one I'm a little worried about is the pitch clock. And I think everyone throughout the league is a little bit worried about the pitch clock. So hopefully it's not just the Red Sox who have to adjust to this new style of play. But let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think of these rule changes in regard to the MLB as a whole? Do you like them? Do you not like them? How do you think this is going to affect the Red Sox? Do you think it'll be good for them, bad for them, not really change anything? Let me know all your thoughts down below. As always, if you've made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button as well. Like I said at the beginning, helps out a ton. You made it to the end of this video, you might as well hit that like button. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seat.